There's a moment in life before and then after.
For a long time, I just thought, well, what did I do wrong?
I remember screaming.
I had to be there and tell somebody their child had died.
I was irritable. I was sad. I would stay in bed for hours just staring at the ceiling.
My temper just became very volatile.
I unraveled.
I didn't know what was wrong.
Trauma is some extreme threat to someone's physical or sexual integrity, and highly life-threatening, like shooting, assault, domestic abuse, war, robbery, rape, torture, serious motor vehicle accidents, serious potentially lethal illnesses.
It was about 12 years ago. Right before Christmas, there were 3 guys that came into my loft in downtown Phoenix, and that night I was held down, I was beaten, and I was raped.
A train trip from New Jersey down to Washington, D.C. The train derailed going 106 miles an hour. 8 people were killed, hundreds injured. The doctors told my family that I was likely not going to survive.
I went to paramedic school at 18 and started working in the emergency system right away. My first year, there were some kids playing with a gun, and somehow it fired. And we had to pronounce this kid dead in his bedroom. His mom is screaming. And that was my first sort of experience into that. Life never was the same.
Trauma can lead to a lot of different consequences: depression, anxiety, substance use. PTSD is one of them.
It's a little bit different than other mental health diagnoses because an event has to happen, and then there has to be certain types of reactions afterwards. Vivid nightmares or intrusive thoughts, or even in some cases, flashbacks.
That memory gets stuck in their head, and it comes back in nightmares and thoughts about it coming up over and over again, and then combined with them trying to push it out. So it's basically being haunted by a memory of a life-threatening situation.
Trauma by itself necessarily doesn't lead to PTSD. A very high number of the US population are exposed to trauma. PTSD happens when I am directly exposed to trauma, it happens to me, or I am witnessing it in others right there when it is happening. Exposure could also be very repeated, leading to PTSD, such as what happens in first responders and frontline workers.
There are lots of different factors that can contribute to someone having PTSD following trauma. Higher anxiety, negative social support, alcohol or substance use problem, previous depressive disorder, the number of traumas that you've experienced, and the severity of trauma can impact whether someone has PTSD.
When all the police showed up, they categorically dismissed the rape and domestic violence because I'm a gay man. At some point, you just start doubting your reality. Like, did this really happen?
So I spent a couple days unconscious. I would have about 6 surgical procedures over that first week and a half or so. I was on a ventilator for about a week and a half. Was in the hospital, first intensive care for quite some time, then a step-down unit, then an inpatient rehabilitation hospital, before finally being able to come home.
The way that I explain that job is when the last safety net fails, that's when we start our work. And so it was a daily experience of emergencies, different levels of trauma, but it's every day, all the time. And my experience is that they started stacking because I wasn't actually processing the trauma. I was doing my best not to feel it. And it got really good at that.
So PTSD is different than regular life stressors. Like if I had a difficult experience with my boss, or let's say I have challenges at job or in my interpersonal relationship, as long as they are not seriously threatening to my integrity, they are not seriously dangerous, those are not considered trauma.
Really, we're looking for events that are so outside your normal experience as a person that you don't really have a context for feeling those feelings.
For most stressful experiences, people are going to experience a lot of upset, distress, difficulties in the short term, but it's going to get easier with time. PTSD is really that stuck memory or memories that are haunting you. The most common myth about PTSD is that it's not treatable and that you can only manage it, but it's a very treatable disorder. We have lots of treatment options, and some of them are extremely powerful in a very short period of time, that you can see people come in and start treatment and leave as a different person, leave with their life back.